Hello, welcome everybody. How are you doing today? Good, good. We have a great speaker. Joey Jewell's interest in sports began at a very young age. It was that passion for sports that led Joey to pursue an undergraduate degree in sports management from the University of Texas at Austin, and later a graduate degree in sports administration and policy from the University of Georgia. Joey has spent over 5 years working with youth in sports, ranging from coaching, counseling, and safety. Joey has also spent time at the collegiate and professional level with experience in public relations, marketing, event management, advertising, and sales. Please help me welcome back Mr. Joey Jewell.
I'm going to switch the... Yes, that guy that was kind of greeting you all by the front door, that daft-looking gentleman, that was me. I am Joey Jewell. If we get this up, I see Youth Development 101, 202, and 303. We're all kind of in here because we all love the sport, right? Getting youth bowling back into the centers, back in there, and getting kids involved again. I do have a confession to make to all of you, though. One that I'm not proud of, one I'm actually kind of embarrassed of, and three, a couple of you I've tried really hard to convince otherwise. I actually did not grow up a bowler. I was part of that generation that got skipped. We see that now, that age range between 20 to 40 years old. We're seeing it in our adult leagues. The numbers aren't quite there, right? So I bring a little bit of a different perspective in here. Yes, I do have my degrees in both sport management, a lot of youth experience at the same time. But I also like to say I got my PhD in youth bowling. Because for the past 2.5 years, I've been going out and I've been visiting centers. Some of them your centers. Talking to proprietors, managers, youth directors, volunteers. Learning about what you guys are doing, what you're not doing, what you've been successful with, and what we've been struggling with. And a lot of what we're going to talk about today is some of the things that I've seen, some of the things I've heard, some of the ideas that we've come up with to address some of the problems and some of the issues that you guys are experiencing so that we can take it to the next level and so that we can get more kids bowling again, which is really what we're all about and doing. So the first kind of question from what we want to address here is, are youth bowlers important? You know, the fact that all of you are sitting in here today kind of tells me one thing, that yeah, we're at least interested in growing the sport, which is a good point from what we're doing here. But the obvious thing, I mean, there are future adult league bowlers, aren't they? I mean, they're the ones that drive the line for us. They're going to be our future customers with spending power. And a lot of times when I'm talking to some of our adult bowlers in our adult leagues, they come up and say, hey, listen, you know, why are we so empty right now? Why aren't our adult leagues so packed? Well, you know, part of it's because we don't have a youth league that's really driving more youth into our adult leagues. You know, and when we come out with that, do you really want to bowl in a league that's not quite so full, or do you want one that's a packed house? Completely different experience, right? And so that's kind of what part of this is, too. The better experience that we have, whether it's youth, whether it's adult, doesn't really matter. We're going to be able to drive more participation. The next thing that I hear a lot, is youth bowling profitable? A lot of centers I've walked into and said, hey, Joey, you know what? That's a great idea. I love what you're talking about. You know, we really want to get our youth program back going, but there's just no money in youth. There's just none. Well, here's some of the things that I found, because I kind of took that to heart and went, wait a minute, you know, that something doesn't seem right. I found out, you know, Bloomington, Illinois Girls Softball Association costs $600 for registration alone. I-9 Little League in Mansfield, Texas, $145 for their 5-year-olds. It's the equivalent of our bumper bowlers. Cupertino National in Cupertino, California, another Little League baseball program, $215 for the older kids. Does that signal to me that there's no money in youth bowling? Or in the youth leagues? I'd probably say no. That's all before equipment. So considering baseball, you've got your bat, you've got your glove, you've got your uniforming, and that adds up, right? Now, I'm not saying that we all go back home, we start charging $200 for the youth leagues, we charge it all up front, we run it the same model. But this is just to give us an idea. Get us out of that comfort zone. Start thinking outside that box, going, wait a minute, we can do this. Maybe we need to restructure how we're doing it, but it is a possibility and something we can start opening up to. So here's kind of what we're doing, the kind of the plan and the vision of everything we're sitting in here today. The first thing is obviously creating lifetime bowlers. Are we finding them? No. Say, hey, listen, Joey, I can't find all these bowlers. There's all these youth kids out there, but we just don't know where to look. Well, the simple fact of the matter is if they were already out there and it was up to us to find them, we'd already have them, right? I mean, I'd tipping over boulders, I'd be looking in bushes and rustling them around, just waiting for a couple of them to hop out. I mean, it's just not what happens. So what we got to do is get in the mindset of, hey, I've got to create a boulder. There's millions of kids out there that are playing other sports and doing other activities. Why? And how do I get them to start bowling again? So if we get in that mindset of how do we create them, that's going to be the first step. The second thing, how do we do that? We provide benefits, resources, and programs. Some of those programs we're going to be talking about later on in the presentation as well, in addition to a couple of some basic kind of marketing tactics and things that you guys have access to from us in the IBC youth team, and different things that you guys can do and start thinking of when looking forward for your youth programs. And the third and the last point is just enhancing the bowling experience. I mean, obviously, we want to provide value for what we're doing with the kids out there, right? If the kids and the parents don't feel like there's a good value for their youth leagues, it's going to be hard to ask them to stick around. And so anything we can do to enhance the experience is always going to be a good thing. So in order to do that, let's kind of get back to the basics here. You know, why do kids join youth sports? You know, according to Weiss and Williams, there was a study done titled The Role of Enjoyment and Motivational Climate in Relation to the Personal Development of Team Sport Athletes. You know, if you can say that 5 times fast, you know, give somebody a high five for that one. But essentially what they did was they came up and said there's 3 key points that we found that were significant in why kids actually join sports and actually try to play in teams. First one, improve skills and achieve goals. I mean, we're already kind of doing that, right? That's coaching. Attaining or setting attainable goals. I mean, that's the big piece there. Kids want to come in, they want to get better. And you think about it, if we don't have a goal set, whether it's I want to get a strike, I want to bowl my first 150 game, I want to beat the team across from me, what do we have? Essentially, we have open play, right? It's structured versus unstructured play. And what we want to do is get these kids who are coming in for open play to start trying those new things that are structured, league play. Number 2 is make new friends and being in that team atmosphere. This is that social point. I mean, that's the one thing we all love about this, right? In our sport is the social aspect that we get from bowling that we can't get from any other sport out there. One of the things, and a couple like little tricks that you guys can do, randomize the teams every session. I mean, you think about some of these other youth sports out there, how many of them play on the same team with the same kids year after year after year? It's an opportunity for us to get them talking to each other, making new friends, building the social skills, all things that they're actually dying for. And the other thing, promote special activities and parties. You know, a lot of centers already do this, but doing the Halloween parties, the Christmas parties, the Valentine's Day parties, something that gets parents and kids back in the center and being a part of doing this again. And one thing that we are looking for is how can we get parent commitment, right? Getting them involved in some of those parties and getting them involved in those activities in the center is one way to do that. And the last one is energy release and excitement. That's the one we all kind of know about that. It's just, do I feel good when I bowl? Is it exciting? Am I having fun? You know, one of the things I found, this was about a year ago, I walked into a center and they had their league going off to the side. Just kind of your normal league. Kids were spread out through half the house. Walked in, spoke to management, and throughout the conversation I realized, he said, oh yeah, I've got a tournament going on. I mean, it's a smaller local tournament, but I said, well, where you got that going on? He goes, well, yeah, it's those kids you walked by when you first came in. I said, wait, your league? He goes, no, that's our tournament. And it was one of those things where I looked at him and I said, okay, well, there's no banners. There's no excitement. There's no feeling. I had no idea a tournament was actually going on in here. And we were looking at it from a parent's standpoint. If I can get up on a Saturday morning and I'm going to be driving my kids to a tournament, we're going to be paying the money for whether it's hotel, gas, food, to do all of that, am I going to want to go bowl at a center where it feels like I'm pretty much just bowling my normal Saturday morning league back home? I might as well just be staying home, right? And so they want to have that energy, they want to have that excitement. Whether it's tournament, whether it's league, doesn't matter. Find ways to get these kids excited again. That's the big point. So who and what? All right, so now we know that we've got to get youth bowlers in here. We've got to find a way to attract them. What's kind of a first basic step? Well, here's some kind of basic marketing tips to this where, listen, who are we going after? Obviously, we're going after youth bowlers, right? That's the easy one. Second one, the target audience. Who are we trying to attract with a lot of our marketing materials? Is it youth? Is it mom? Is it dad? Is it someone completely different? Next piece is focused materials. So let's say this. If I'm going to be promoting scholarships and the healthy aspects of our sport, am I going to be putting it in a flyer that's got Bowlopolis tricked out all over it and handing it to kids as they walk in and out? Probably not. I'm probably going to be wanting to hand it out to mom and dad when they come through. So it's one of those things where we're looking at it and saying, okay, well, what are we putting out there? Who are we putting out there to? And how are we doing it? And then the fourth and final point is the decision maker. Who's the one that makes that decision to sign little Johnny or little Susie up for league? Is it dad? I mean, studies suggest that right now dad is the number one informant as far as kids developing which sports they want to play, which teams they want to be a fan of. Is it mom? Mom's the one that maybe not want their kid to play football, right? Because it's too dangerous. So she may be telling dad, no, sorry, we're signing up for soccer. Or is it little Johnny and little Susie? We've walked into centers and these kids have come up with huge smiles on their faces and they go, Mom, Dad, I love this. It's so much fun. Can I really join league? And those parents go, how can I say no to that? Any one of those three could be the key decision maker. It's up to us just to figure out which one it is for that individual family and how we can reach them. You guys have access to our Youth Resource Center. If you're unfamiliar with it, you've got a yellow, and it's not really 3x5, but it's a card in front of you. The web page is on there, down there. Everything that the IBC Youth Department does as a resource, you guys have absolutely free access to it. Everything. So as far as the marketing materials go and all of that, it's also up there if you need it. We have things that are already pre-designed for you. You can completely customize whether you have Microsoft Word. So for instance, this one right here, Back to School Bowling Bash. You can actually go in there through a Microsoft Word template, delete all the info, type in your own, to put your own center's information, the own name, your own dates, times, cost, everything. Not every center has professional printing capability. So we at least provided some of that stuff for you guys. So at least all you had to do was just print it on a regular printer. Now the next part is kind of the meat and potatoes of what we've really been talking about. It's kind of those programs and that idea of, yeah, you know, it's great to do marketing, Joey. Now we understand that kids are important. It is a source of revenue. It is something that can sustain long-term and short-term. But how do I actually get them in? How do I actually get them excited and get them committed to joining a league? Well, I mean, those are our three-step process from the youth department as far as how to create youth bowlers. Step one, get them in, right? We're doing a pretty good job of that. Right now, bowling, if not number one, we're the number 2 most participated sport in the country. I mean, we're kind of going back and forth with soccer on that one. So we're doing a really good job of getting them in. Number 2, get them excited. As an industry, we're slipping a little bit here, right? Because as we're getting people in and we're getting so many kids and people in, how many of them are returning more than 3 to 5 times a year? The numbers suggest not a whole lot. And then the third one is once we've got them excited, how do we get them committed to league? And I think we all kind of know what's going on with that one right now, just from the base of what our youth league numbers are as a whole. So we're doing great on step 1. There's obvious room for improvement on 2 and 3. And so that's where we come in to try to help you guys out and see if there's anything we can do. One of the things that I do when I go out and I talk to a center is I ask them, before we even sit down to really do anything, I say, nice to meet you. I'm, Joey Jewell. What's your name? We go through all that. And I say, you know what? Tell me about your program, your youth program. And almost 9 out of 10 centers start talking to me. They go, well, it's Saturday mornings. We bowl 3 games. It's team basketball. No. You don't understand. You tell me about your youth league. I don't want to know about your youth league. I want to know about your program. There's a difference between the two. A program has multiple different pieces and components into it that all work together to form the whole. This is our version of the youth ladder system. Now, the pieces on here, we're going to be going over those things in more detail later, but for right now, it's just I want you guys to kind of understand the concept of what it is. Because it technically doesn't even have to be any of these pieces. You can have your own versions of these things in there as long as they kind of work in the same way. So for instance, this bottom line where we have Bowlopolis, I generally kind of extend it or make it a semicircle. That's basically your initial promotions and marketing programs, right? The things to get kids in through the front doors. Birthday parties is a big one. You could be doing Kids Bowl Free. You could be doing Bowler's Ed, which kind of goes up and down. Bowler's Ed's a multiple program on there, but it goes through each individual point on that rung on the ladder. So let's say, for instance, I get a kid from one of those marketing programs. I get them in through my front door. Once I get them in through the front door, How do I get them committed? Maybe it's a ball league. Okay, so I go right above Bowlopolis and I've got ball league now. Once I have a ball league, they're getting a little bit more interested, they're getting a little bit more excited, they love our sport. Now I want to teach them our sport. Remember we talked about setting those goals, right? Well, I'm in here, I love it. Now I want to get to my 150 game or my 100 game, depending on where I'm at on there. Well, let's roll you into a USA 101, which is our Learn to Bowl program. How many of you in here are familiar with Bowl 2.0? Majority, right? USA 101 is our version, but for youth. No emphasis on scoring. It's all about having fun, teaching the basics and the fundamentals. Remember, we don't want to scare a lot of these brand new bowlers away by saying, listen, I'm not very good. That's not what we're out here for. We want them to start developing that passion, that love that everybody in this room right now has already developed through a lifetime of bowling, that these kids are being experienced to that very first time. So we get them in there, we teach them how to bowl. Then maybe we roll them into a USA Bowling League or a traditional Saturday morning league, whatever that base league is from our system. And as they move up the ladder, they get to high school, then they get to collegiate, and then they go to adult. Well, what have we really done with this ladder? We see it as a step ladder process, but if you really think about it, we just created a bowler. We just created a lifetime bowler from a kid who, at this stage, walked in for open play. Which means he may now, or she may now be bowling in our adult leagues as a result of that. So when we understand kind of how the ladder system works and how everything pulls together, and how even if, let's take the bowler's ed piece in there and shoving kids in at different rungs of that ladder, we can use that as a process to funnel kids in. And when they're all working, it's like a well-oiled machine. One funnels into the next, which funnels into the next, which funnels into the next. And through repetition and going down the road, all of a sudden, hey, listen, I've been signed up for 24 weeks and I didn't even know it because everything was structured back to back to back to back. One of the first of those bottom rungs, I'm going to kind of continue into this here, and we're going to work our way up the ladder through some of the programs, is Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Really, really good opportunity for a lot of those centers that haven't actually reached out to them yet. If you look at the numbers, 2.6 million youth members. 2.6. That's a lot of kids that we may or may not be getting in front of to bowl, right? How do we get out in front of them? Speak at district meetings. Maybe we're doing scouting awards, whether it's a badge, whether it's something else. Hosting their events, parties, anything where we can start building that relationship with them. It's just another resource in another area where we can start attracting brand new bowlers and brand new kids to come in and start bowling in our sport. The next piece, homeschool bowling. I mean, let me ask a couple of you guys right now, what portion of the week would you say you have the most lane availability? Weekdays? Daytime, right? Well, what's the one great thing about homeschool bowling? They hold school whenever they want. They've got the daytime during the week to come in and do things, right? Fantastic opportunity for us to try to find a way to get them into our center and start, whether it's a social league, whether it is competitive league or not, but it's a way to get them in, get them experience to our sport, get them excited, remember? And then maybe through that we can get them committed to our weekly junior leagues, if we can progress to that point. The funny thing about homeschool bowling, it's growing yearly. Yearly. This is one of the fastest growing segments in our country right now. More and more kids are starting to go homeschooling. The trick is just how do we find them and how do we reach out to them? Because a lot of centers don't really know that. The funny thing about that one is too, internet search. Find out who's the homeschooling groups that's in your area around town. A lot of times they'll have a web page up because they want to get more of those parents who are doing this to join into their groups. And a lot of times there will be a point of contact in there. Somebody that's, whether it's a social coordinator, or you could have a curriculum coordinator, or it's just a parent, doesn't really matter, but it's at least a contact. And at that point, we reach out to them. We just say, hey, listen, I'm from XYZ Bowling Center. I know you guys have some PE requirements at times. I know you guys have social functions. I just want to know if there's any way we can assist you guys. Is there anything we can do to help you out? I mean, what are we doing at that point? We're building a relationship with them, right? the more of a relationship we build, just like with these kids and just like with these adults when they come into our centers, the more of an opportunity we have for them to start something with us. Homeschool bowling is a fantastic way that we can kind of expand what we're doing to fill more of the center for that. After school bowling is the next piece to it. I walked into a center a while ago and they were telling me, we have a hard time with parents sticking around. They just drop their kids off during the weekdays and we don't see them. They come back at the end of the day. And you know what? There's just kids running all over the place. I can't control them. I don't know about you, but I'm not a babysitting service. Now, I just told them, don't even come in here anymore. I'm not here to watch your kids for you. And I don't know if you ask me, and you brought in 20 to 30 kids, I'm not turning them away. Are you? That's a perfect opportunity for me to turn them into bowlers, right? Perfect opportunity. It's just a matter of how do we put it together. Do we do it as a backpack club? Do we do it as milk and cookies? There's a lot of different ideas out there from a lot of different centers who've done different things to capitalize off of this idea to get these kids who mom and dad may both be working. I mean, one of the things we're finding right now is that traditional family set that we're so used to of dad going to work, mom staying at home, that's not the norm anymore. Mom's working a lot. There's a lot more split households. There's more need for daycare than ever. Why not reach out to those PTA members? Ask around to see if any of our parents at these schools need someone to look after their kids at that point. And then we can say, hey, listen, I've got this perfect after-school program for you guys. Sometimes the schools will actually add a bus route to when they're going home. Sometimes they won't. It just depends. Transportation is something we have to think about as well, but it's definitely doable. And we'll talk about Bowlers Ed in the future here, but there are different programs that we offer that you can actually use to put in there at the same time if you're looking for a specific curriculum to run. USA Bowling 101 is one of them, that Learn to Bowl piece, similar to 2.0. You can use that in there. Bowlopolis, another one that's fantastic because we're branding our leagues, right? That is one of the fantastic things about homeschool bowling that, again, not a lot of centers are doing it. But it's a great opportunity to get a lot of kids who aren't traditionally bowlers into the center, on the lanes, where we can coach them and we can get them into our culture of the sport. Bowling Blast Off. How many of you are familiar with AMF's Kids Fest? How about Kids Bowl Free? I figured that was the case. Bowling Blast Off is very similar to Kids Bowl Free, except it's one day. Maybe it's just a couple of hours. Maybe it's half a day. It's whatever you want to do. Essentially what the concept for a Bowling Blast Off was it was a big marketing push to get new bowlers and their parents inside the center. So just like with Kids Bowl Free, mom and dad have to register with all their contact information, right? That way we still get that information. We can still do the emails and the calls and the mail outs. But the difference in this is that we make it an event. We make it exciting. We make it fun for these kids and their families to come in here for this free day of bowling, basically. Or this, like I said, it could be 2-3 hours even. It doesn't matter. It depends on what works best for you and your center. But basically what we're doing is you're setting up tables too. Because what's one of the things that we don't want to miss out on from, like you said, even Kids Bowl Free? We don't want them to come in and bowl all summer long and then leave and not see them again, right? That doesn't really do us a whole lot of good. So why wouldn't we have something in here to educate all the parents about all the amazing things that we do? Set up a booth about coaching. Have your coaches in there. Set up a booth about all your leagues. Have a booth that talks about the health aspects of the sport and all the collegiate opportunities. I mean, right now, if a girl can bowl a 150 average, she's got a good shot to go to college and bowl for free on a full ride. Those opportunities exist. We just got to find them right now. Most non-bowling parents have no idea about that. No idea those opportunities exist. Fantastic way to educate them and get the word out with this. And then when you're out there, you're on the lanes with the staff. We're building those personal relationships, right? We're asking them about them. We're learning about them. We're figuring out what makes them tick. They're learning my name. I'm learning their name. And at the end of it, we have something where we can get activation right on the spot. So for instance, I did this with a center up in Oregon. And what we did was we had all the tables set out. We had all the educational materials. And I told them, I said, okay, well, what do you want to activate on? He says, I want to do a ball league. I go, fantastic. What if we do a ball league and a Learn to Bowl League. And we just combined the two of them. We'll make something completely different from you. He said, great. We'll do something like that. We'll make it short week. I said, okay, well, here's what you're going to do. Instead of just sitting it at your league table and telling all the parents, hey, listen, you want to sign up for a league, let them bowl for free that day. Build your relationships. Get to know them. Talk to them. Let them have fun. And at the end of the night, when you're thanking them all for being there and you're asking if they have fun, just go, oh, and by the way, how many of you would like to have a free ball? And just let it sit there for a little bit. If you want more information, come talk to me and so-and-so, who hopefully they just met, and come see us over at the league table. We'll give you more information about it. We had 24 kids that day sign up for that Learn to Bowl Bowl League, and another 24 sign up for his league straight up. It's just a matter of education, excitement sometimes, and how we put and structure things together. Very, very neat concept and a cool idea, just a way to get people back in the center, having fun again, and then educating them about all the great things that we do. Bowler's Ed. This one is probably the most popular that we have out here. How many people have not heard of Bowler's Ed? That's good. Okay, so maybe one. That's all right. That's okay. Bowler's Ed was basically our way of getting a foot back in the door of schools. Right? A lot of centers, what's the first thing we want to do? We got to get into schools. We got to market to those kids. It makes sense, right? They're all in one place. They're easy for us to see. Problem, though, is a lot of us are for profit, right? I hope most of us are, at least. A lot of these schools are very hands-off from that. They're like, hey, I don't know. Once you start marketing my kids, things get a little iffy. Well, the good thing about this is our program. It's not yours. We're not for profit. We're 501c3. So is your local associations. You're just helping us get these out to the schools. What it's designed to do is it's designed to teach bowling to kids on a PE class. Mostly for your elementary, mostly for your middle school levels, but it has been known to work at the high school levels too. Just kind of depends on the area. But it goes over hand scoring. It goes over the fundamentals, your 4-step approach, all the basics. And it does it in a way that's cross-curricular with what the teachers are actually teaching. So they can be doing the hand scoring modules and also tying that into math. They can be doing the reading and writing lessons as part of some of the other programs and some of the other games that we have tied into there. Somehow we've got geography in here too. I don't know how they've done it, but we've got geography in there. Then what happens is after a couple of weeks, the teachers have run it. We've designed the curriculum so if a teacher's never picked up a bowling ball in their life, they can teach all these things. After a couple of weeks, we hand out a coupon basically to them, whether it's free game, free shoots, whatever you guys want to do. I just recommend calling it a continued educational opportunity. Teachers don't like it when we say coupons, do they? And then after that, that's designed to get them back in through your front doors, right? That's your ROI. Now these kids come home and say, hey, Mom, Dad, look at what we did. We got to bowl today in class. And look what they gave us. Can we go this weekend? Can we go tonight? Can we go tomorrow? Yeah, sure. They're right in your front door. What it also does is it also gives you the opportunity to do field trips. Now that we've learned what we've taken in the class, how do we apply it to the real world? Well, let's take you guys back there. For the really little kids, they love it when some of the centers who've run it, they've taken them to the back and they show them all the machines. I don't recommend that with the high school kids. But the elementary school kids love it. It's something different, something they don't get to see. Oh, what's happening behind those masking units back there? Well, now we get to see them and take it. We're creating that awe and that wonder. I don't know, how many of you saw Jurassic Park or Jurassic World over the past couple of weeks? Anybody? You guys remember when the first one came out? You remember how you felt? That awe, that wonder. It's like, oh my God, there's a dinosaur out here, right? This is so cool. Well, for these kids, that can be that exact same experience. We don't think about that anymore, though. We think, oh, there's just the machines that are in the back. For these kids, that could be one of the coolest things in the world for them to see. It's just a matter of how we push it to them, how we make it seem important to these kids. And for them, anything's the limit on that. Also a great way to start building relationships with those schools. In the past, when we did the old in-school bowling kids, we asked the proprietors and other people to actually go into the schools and teach it themselves. We're asking the teachers to do it now. So from a proprietor standpoint, all we've got to do is just convince a teacher to run the curriculum, which we've already created. They just need to run it. How much work is that? Very little. And then from the proprietor and the center standpoint, we just keep up our relationship with them. Hey, is there anything we can do to help you guys out? Is the equipment still working? Do we need to replace any of that? Do we want to get you guys set up with a field trip? Is there any materials you'd like us to hand out to you guys whenever you've got your next school event? Can we be there? Can we have a booth? All of a sudden, that wall starts to come down little by little, right? It's funny how they'll pass out handouts and other marketing materials for other sports, but when it comes to us, they're very standoffish. Well, you know what? Well, once we have a teacher inside, once we have a principal, once we have someone that we know by name, and we've worked with them and we've talked to them, now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we want to do fundraisers here. We'd like to do this. We'd like you to come out to this event. Night and day, right? Completely different. Just because now we've got a relationship that this program was able to get us through the front door. Driving kids through the front, getting new bowlers back in there, and then as a long-term culture piece, it's getting the sport back recognized again. From all these kids that are growing up, who some of them let's be honest, a lot of these kids that are growing up in there, they think of bowling, they don't think it's a legitimate sport. They compare us with curling sometimes. Just go, bowling? Who bowls? Well, now when we've got this in there and these kids start getting older, somebody says bowling, go, oh yeah, I remember that. We got taught that in 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. We all bowled every week. We bowled every other couple of months. It was fantastic. We had so much fun. The narrative now changes. The culture now changes. Now we're getting in front of kids in a massive way to promote the sport. And now, by the time they get to that stage where they're starting to play more sports, and they're starting to decide which ones they want to participate in, we've got a leg up. Because we got to them earlier. We got to them sooner. We told them that we're a sport. We're not just an activity. We told them about all the great things that we do. Bowlopolis. How many people in here actually run Bowlopolis? How many people know what Bowlopolis is used for? Okay. Bowlopolis is sometimes the most misunderstood program that we have out there. I go out there and I talk to a lot of senators and they all kind of tell me like, yeah, Bowlopolis, we know it's that birthday party thing, but not a whole lot else. Okay. That's kind of true. It is for a birthday party. That's kind of what we do. But it's a perfect league branding piece. When you think about Bowlopolis here, it's your marketing, right? Where's the one place we can't go to reach kids? Home. Right? I can't go walk into that house. It might be a little weird. Definitely would not be coming back out if I did. That's for sure. But the DVDs can. The plush dolls can. The stickers on the pins that you give away at the birthday parties can. And guess where those things are sitting? They're sitting on their dressers. They're sitting on their nightstands. They're sitting on their DVD racks. Right? Every time they're looking for something to do, now I've got Bowlopolis in front of their face. Now they're reminded about bowling again. Now when they come in and bowl, when they do the birthday party, we're giving them all the goodie bags. We're giving them all this stuff. Hey, what's this Bowlopolis League? Yeah, that's our Learn to Bowl League, by the way. Now all those characters you guys are used to, you just roll you right into that. You're completely familiar with it. You're excited. You know everything that's in there. The activity books, the coloring books, ways to keep kids involved and excited and things to do. Because as you guys know, when you've got an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, how long is their attention span? Not the longest, right? But that's why we give them all these activities. That's why we do all these things. Learn to Bowl Leagues, that was a center that came up with that idea. And I walked in there and I thought, fantastic. They literally just went from birthday party to Learn to Bowl and forward. And then went with the membership option for it with the Bowlopolis, where they got the magazine, they got everything. Again, it's a value piece. How do we give these kids more value for participating, getting more of an experience out of what they're doing? Bowlopolis is a great way to do that. And also, if you're looking at it, $30, plates, cups, napkins, all your supplies, give you over 100 of those. How many birthday parties is that going to last you compared to what we can charge for that? Some centers have said, hey, listen, everybody wants to do Iron Man. They want to do Superman. They want to do princesses. And that's fine. But how much do parents normally pay for a birthday party on average? Anybody with kids know that? What was that? 125. Okay. Yeah. I've seen 125. I've seen it go up to 200. I've seen more depending on the areas, right? Depending on our birthday party packages, are we anywhere near that? Now, when I can go to a parent and say, hey, listen, you're spending $125, you're spending $200, you're buying cake, you're buying the party supplies, you're corralling all the kids, you're doing all this stuff. Is it pretty stressful? Yeah, it is. Well, what if I gave you something where you didn't have to do any of that? And at a lesser cost. You actually get to enjoy your kid's birthday for once, as opposed to running around chasing your kids and being stressed. And I took care of everything else. And I know that your kids are going to like the stuff. It's just another way to package the option. And a lot of parents take it. Some don't, but some do. But that's what it's there for. It's there to give them that opportunity to get back into the sport again. Now, one of the cool things, and I don't know if how many of you were in the meeting a little bit earlier, but we do have apps now. You can download the Bowlopolis app and get all 21 episodes for free. On our Youth Resource Center, we actually have the QR codes on a card where you can put on your counter and just hand those out to people, and they can scan it and go. I mean, I know people who put that in the back of their car and let their kid watch it while they're driving down to and from work and running errands. They just let them watch it in the back of the car. There's also the video game that comes with it. What are kids doing nowadays? They're on their phones, right? They're playing all sorts of stuff. Was it Major League Baseball did a study when Rob Manfred came into there, and he found out that my generation was one device. The generation that came after me was 2 devices. Generation Z, 3 to 4 devices at one time. The TV is obsolete. It's now phone. It's now iPod. It's now iPad. Probably a laptop at the same time, right? All at once. How do we get in their face? How do we stay relevant? That's a way to do it. And that's some of the things we've done to kind of help do that at the same time that any center can use. Bowl like a boy and bowl like a girl. How many of you are familiar with 8 for 8, Mission Possible, all of that? This is the new program that we've come out with for that. It's the Ball League. Monet Davis, Little League World Series, right? That girl that came in and just dominated all the boys. Huge sensation out there. How many people saw the Super Bowl? And a trick question, almost thought, yeah, right. How many of those commercials stood out to you about girl empowerment? It was a little different this year, wasn't it? This is a way, PWBA, we just started it back up. I was just talking about all the different collegiate opportunities for girls. Fantastic way to drive more female opportunities and get them involved again. Obviously, boys are involved too. Can't take one without the other. The difference, though, is that you can run it however long you want, whatever price you want. In the past, we told you $8 a week, 8 weeks, or 12 for 12, or 10 for 10. If you want to run 15 weeks at $23 a week, that's up to you. If you can do it, more power to you. Why not? We gave you guys more flexibility to make it work for your center, because we realized every center is a little bit different. Not everybody can do an 8 for 8. Not everybody can do a 12 for 12. Now you can pretty much do whatever you want with this. The other thing is the marketing materials that come with it. I mean, when you purchase the kit, they give you $100 worth of marketing materials from Strike 10. But in addition to that, they give you the digital file of it. So if you want to go in there and now put your center's logo on there, you can. If you want to go in there and change a little bit here and there, you can. It's one of those other little known facts on there. That way, if it doesn't exactly fit what you want to do, you can mold it around a little bit. I mean, it's not necessarily one size fits all. We get that. So you have the power to do that with this one. Obviously, market it inside and outside the center. I mean, inside our 4 walls is still where we do the majority of our recruitment. Outside, still another opportunity where we can get to. Collect the bowling ball weights. You want to order the balls at the start of the program. That way we've got them by the end. And encourage the bowlers to transition. Kind of like that bowling blast off. Kind of like Kids Bowl Free. We don't want these kids coming in and just walking right back out the door, right? We want them to actually sign up for league. We want to get them activated right now. Because we don't want them to leave the center without doing so, because we may never hear back from them again. Encourage them to transfer over. Whether it's through goal setting, whether it's through coaching, whether it's just through having fun, doesn't matter. Whatever it takes. USA Bowling 101s, our Learn to Bowl program. Like I said earlier, very similar to 2.0. We just don't teach, or we really don't put an emphasis on the scoring. You can kind of structure it however you want. Like we said with Bowler's Ed, that curriculum piece in there works really well with a lot of other programs. It's not just designed to be in schools. I've seen other centers take it and use it as those after-school programs. I've seen some of them who added it to USA Bowling. Then we've already got it kind of written in a package in there for you, but if you want to tweak it, go for it. Especially if there's things you really like from some of this other stuff. So you're going to create what exactly is going to be in your program and your curriculum, and then you just go out and you market it, kind of like we would everything else we do. And then obviously graduate them into another program or a league. That stepping stone, that step ladder, right? Keeping in tradition with that. Saturday morning youth program. Pretty popular, right? How many people are still hosting their leagues on a Saturday morning? Is anybody doing anything different? What are you doing? Sundays, what time? Okay. Anybody else? Wednesday 4. Thursday at 3. Wednesday 6:30. Yeah. Friday at 4.
Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay. Right. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Right. Is there a perfect day for this anymore? It's whenever we got availability and whenever the kids and the families are finding time, right? Like we were saying with the traditional family format anymore. We've got a ton of competition on Saturdays. Sundays is a good opportunity for us. Weekdays can be a good opportunity for us. It really just depends on when the parents and the kids can come in and bowl. It's really a matter of just asking them and figuring it out. Hey, what would be a good day for you guys if we want to come in here? These are our availabilities, these are our time slots. We don't have to be set in that box anymore. And one thing I want you guys to take away from, especially with this stuff, which there are plenty of centers that do very well with this format of program. I don't want you to take me the wrong way. A lot of you do very well with this type of program. But also keep in mind, IMBC Youth has never told you what your leagues have to look like. They really don't. I mean, I had a center who told me, hey, listen, my house is packed for cosmic bowling. I just figured, why wouldn't I just start a cosmic bowling league? Packs his house Friday night. Makes more money off of that than he does through open play the entire night. And that doesn't mean everybody's going to do that, but it worked for him. Lots of different ideas, a lot of different things that a lot of other centers are doing. You guys can do just as much as that. It's just what's going to work for me in my area, what time, how do I want to do it. USA Bowling. This was our idea of a secondary piece to get all those kids in who were playing other team-based sports, who didn't think of bowling as a team-based sport, to try it out. Essentially, it was me growing up. Remember, I played baseball, I played basketball, football. I did all of that stuff, but I didn't really bowl. This is the one that resonates the most for me because this is what I really got interested from this. What we did was we took the structure of Little League Baseball, and we took collegiate bowling, and we pulled them together. So team-based, head-to-head. Each team has a team manager. You know, coaching can be separately, but at least they've got one team manager per team. You've got the Baker format. We suggest, you know, one individual team game, 2 Baker games. You guys have flexibility to do whatever you want. It's just a league idea. We just say for this particular program, it's got to at least have 1 Baker game in there. Now, a lot of people go, well, you know, it's a lot of coaching. Yeah, it's Baker format. That's kind of weird. Let me ask you this. How many people have ever been as part of a collegiate bowling team or actually watched the competitions? Is there anything else like that out there today? The drama, the excitement, the camaraderie, the cheering. It's amazing, isn't it? Why would we not want to have that on our leagues on a weekly basis for our kids? Why not? In my opinion, that's fantastic. That's one of the things we're most proud of in the youth department is the collegiate bowling side of that. And you think about it from a youth league standpoint from these other sports, it's set up the exact same way. Everybody's used to, I've got my team, I've got my coach, we play head-to-head. It's the exact same thing. Think about the experience from a non-bowler when they're walking into your center and you start talking about leagues. You say, oh yeah, you know, we pay once a week, we do it every so often there. You've got the sanction fee, you've got this, you've got that. Whoa, what? Yeah, I don't know now. However, if I had walked in, they said, yeah, $150 right up front. You've got your team, you've got your coach. That's it. We'll have our coaches meeting in a couple of weeks. We'll give you all the rest of the information then. Okay, that sounds good. Here you go. I'm comfortable with that. I'm familiar with that. I mean, let me ask you this. If you're uncomfortable with something, are you ever going to go back? You ever going to try it again? No. It's going to take a lot if you do. But most chances are, initially, you're probably not. One of the stories that I love to tell about this is we did the USA Bowling, the Open tournament down in Southern California 2 years ago. I was out there working with one of the guys, and it was best 2 out of 3 for the championship game. We had a team from Mexico that came up to bowl in it. They were in it. We had one of the local teams in it. It went into the third game and ended up going to a roll-off. Now, my job at that time was to try to keep everybody off the settee area. I'm sorry, I couldn't keep myself off. I mean, I was right there on the edge, like, oh my God, he's going to make us get... It was amazing. You could cut that atmosphere with a knife in that center that day. That's how exciting it was. That's how much people really got into that tournament. Again, why would we not want to have that experience on a weekly basis? Why not? It's amazing. I turned around, the non-bowler here, turned around to Zach, who was helping me run it. I say, Zach, do you want to go bowl? I'll take you on right now. And he'd kill me, obviously. He's much better than I am. But I was like, let's go. Yeah, we'll set this thing up. Let's go out there and bowl. For the non-bowler, isn't that what this is designed to do? Who's used to those other sports? Yeah. Now, you don't have to necessarily run this as your mainstream sports model, replace your Saturday morning leagues. This was originally designed to be kind of that side-off piece to it that was going to help funnel kids in. Remember, we talked about that ladder and all the pieces kind of working together and doing the different things to kind of add into it and create bowlers along the way. This was originally designed to be that side piece. Because your current bowlers may not like it. They're not used to it. They never have. Have they? Right? But your new ones, they don't know any better. I mean, they don't have any preconceived notion of what a league's supposed to be. No parents are going to come in and say, oh, hold on, it's not handicap. I'm not okay with this. This is ridiculous. They have no idea what handicap is. You tell them that's a league. That's a league. Remember, it's all about excitement. It's all about how we get them involved, what feels comfortable with them, how can we make it fun. The other part of it is a lot of people say, I can't do one coach per team. You know what? They're team managers. They don't have to coach. Your coaches can do your coaching session off to the side. We just need someone to be on the lanes with the kids, give them positive reinforcement, and make sure they're bowling when it's their turn, right? And that's it. Parent commitment. How do I get parents committed? Get them on the lanes. The best way. Get them bowling. Get them involved. Now that they're coaches, you think they might want to do one of those level 1 USA Bowling coaching seminars? Maybe. You think they might want to be a little bit more hands-on now with the league? Maybe. Great introductory way to get these parents more involved in leagues again by giving them ownership. And we think about it, well, how does Parks and Rec do it? How do I get all these parents to say, okay, I'll coach. I've never coached again in my life. I say, well, you're managing. You're not really coaching. We have coaches for that. Well, what does Parks and Rec do? We call the first time, right? First time, everybody always says, no, I don't want to coach. So we call a second time. Say, no, I don't want to coach again either. We call a third time. We say, hey, guys, I just want to let you know if nobody steps up to coach, we don't have a team. Now, mom and dad signed them up. They paid for it. They told them they were going to play. Are they all of a sudden going to tell them now that they're going to quit? They're not going to play anymore? Somebody always steps up. And if it's not one person, they rotate. Each week it might be a different parent. Which again, if it's team manager, they're not coaching. They're just being on the lanes and having a presence there. We don't need the same parent every week. We just need a parent. And hopefully we see some of the benefits down the road as a result of that. The draft league is basically your USA Bowling League, but running it with a draft. My only recommendation with this one, and only caution, do not hold a public draft. And I think everybody kind of understands why on that. I had a center do that because they were going to make a big event out of it. And they thought, oh, it would be so cool. We'll put this board up against the wall. We'll have them all up there. We'll do the... Does anybody want to be picked last? No. I understand what you guys are doing. I told them, I said, I understand what you're doing. I thought it was a pretty cool idea, but next time let's just do it behind closed doors with just the coaches. You did not want to be that kid who was sitting there going, man, well, I'm the last one picked. What is it in the NFL in the draft? The last guy picked in the 7th round is what, Mr. Yeah. It's the same concept, right? No kid wants that. So that's what the draft is on this. Really cool because it's a way to get new kids bowling different teams, that type of thing. Adult youth leagues. Great way to get parent involvement again too, right? Because we're getting all of these parents back into a swing. It's a great introductory piece. I mean, I'll tell you guys a story too. I was not that league bowler, but I did bowl. You know, I had a single mother that raised me out there. We bowled maybe once, maybe twice a month. Just the two of us out there. Now, what happened if somebody had come up to us and said, hey, listen, just want to make sure you guys are doing okay. Is there anything I can do to help? No, we're good, we're okay, but fine, thanks for telling me. Okay, we come in the next time. Hey, we noticed you guys were in here again. What's your name? Oh, yeah, you're Michelle, you're Joey. Oh, I'm Brian, or I'm whatever. Nice to meet you guys. How are you doing? Okay. Third time we come in. Hey, nice to see you guys again. How's it going? We haven't seen you in a while. Now I've got a personal relationship with them. Now I can come up to them and say, hey, listen, you guys come in here an awful lot with just your mom and son doing this thing. We've got a group that bowls together at this time. You guys can kind of bowl with all these other parents and their kids. How would you like to do that? It's a lot of fun. It might be right up your alley based off of some story that they told or that we had told them back at an earlier time, right? Finding a way to get that emotional reaction, that connection. If our local center had done that to us, I might be sitting here saying, I've been a bowler for 20 years. It's that simple. It was an opportunity missed out from my home center to create new league bowlers, a new youth at that point. And at that point, they could have gotten my mom to join something as well. Not just the youth adult league. She might have joined the adult league while I joined the youth league after that. Because I could have gone in there and said, man, this is a ton of fun. Well, yeah, let's put you in the youth league at the same time. All of that out the door because it didn't happen. I missed out on all of that because we missed out on that at that local center. Now, because it's adult youth league, my mom might have gotten involved as a coach. She might have still gotten involved as a team mom. She might have gotten involved in some other capacity because that was something that the two of us did together. That was our family time. That was the one time I kind of got to spend with her. There are so many kids out there and so many families that are just like me or have different situations, different stories. Doesn't really matter. But they've got a story. And what are we doing to get them? What are we doing to enhance their experience? What are we doing to give them what they're craving? I mean, that's the key. It can be any one of these things. It can be something completely different. But we got to be finding something to get to them. Like I said, I could have been sitting in here with every one of you and saying, I've been a bowler for 20 years. But I'm not. Just a missed opportunity. And when those opportunities start to build up, then we've got a generation gap. So how can we help? As a youth department in general, like I said, that Youth Resource Center, right? If you haven't been on it, I highly recommend you guys get on there. Just explore it. See if there's anything you can take advantage of, anything you can learn from, anything you can use. Like I said in that youth ladder system, you don't have to use everything word for word in here. I understand that. Each of you guys have got a different center, different situations, different demographic, completely different things that are working for and against you on there. Is that going to be a one-size-fits-all model? No. But it's a starting place. Hopefully, by the end of this discussion here, you guys will walk out and that wheel will be turning. And you'll start going, hey, USA Bowling was kind of a really cool idea, but maybe if we twisted it this way, it would work great for us. Hey, I'm not going to tell you no. I'm going to say, give me a call and I'll see if there's anything I can do to help you get that started. Suggestions, ideas, anything that I or my team have seen out on the road when we've talked to other centers might be able to help you when you run that. Or you might say, hey, look, that's a really good idea. Let me see what we can do to help. We're resources for you, just as much as that Youth Resource Center. So don't feel like you don't have access to it. And here's the rest of the team at this point. Like I said, the Youth Development Specialists, there's generally one in each one of your territories that we have right now. And if you haven't seen them already, you might want to start asking for them because more than likely we've gone to your center already. I mean, like we said in the meeting earlier, we've been to 3,900 centers, or at least that many visits. Has your center been one of them? A lot of times it's your youth director. A lot of times it's your manager if we can't get a hold of you personally. But we are your personal liaison to that campus up there. Whether you need to go to Zach Barton for USA Bowling ideas, or you need to go to Roger or Whitney for marketing, or Brian English for high school bowling and membership, or Gary Brown for tournaments, Sean Clancy Bowler's Ed, doesn't matter. We are your direct line. How many people have tried calling the International Bowling Campus or USBC in general to the direct main line? Anybody? The touch tone one, how easy is it to get where you want to go? Pretty easy? Yeah. How easy is it if you could just give me a call? Said, hey, Joey, I've got a question on this. Where do I need to go? What can you do? And I said, oh, yeah, if I can't help you, here's the direct line for the person who can. Right? It saves us a lot of time, gives us a lot of resources too, huh? We're here to help in any way we can. Say, we're not just USBC, we're BPA too. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
For the USA bowling, putting teams together, successful programs, what's the most common way?
It depends. There's so many different ways that I've seen it work. I mean, it literally is, you've got your team. I don't recommend anything under 3 kids per team. Just because you run the risk of one kid not showing up, if you've got 2 kids, and then what do you do? And you've got a 0, you've got an absentee score, right?
At first I was thinking about a draft, and then I could see leaked out problems with that, and then forming teams with something big, that's 3 kids.
And it depends. I've seen, well, for instance, Bayou Bowl in Louisiana has been doing it for a long time. And each year they've added new rules to their program to address certain things like that. So, for instance, they have, no kid can be under the same coach or team because each of their they have a luxury of having 5 to 6 coaches and they're all their individual teams. No kid can be under that same coach in consecutive years unless, one caveat from a year, they're on the verge of a coaching breakthrough, in which case they'll grant them 1 extra year to be with them. Otherwise, that coach has to draft all new players the next year. I've seen it work where they just set it up by average. I've seen it work where they've just done it randomly. I mean, literally, the sky's the limit with how you can do it. It depends on how many kids you get to sign up, how many you've got that are interested in it, and just what works best for you guys as a team in general to set something like that up. I mean, it literally can look a lot of different ways. Preferably, I like the draft. I mean, I had one center tell me, hey, listen, we've got a lot of older kids who didn't have the opportunity to participate in that national tournament because it's 15 and under. I said, how do I get them involved? I said, well, why don't you use those kids as your coaches? Tell your younger kids, and here's what we're just going to do. Tell your younger kids, here are your different coaches, here are all the older kids. You get to vote in private which one you guys want to be as your team coach. How cool is that for the older kids to know that those kids chose you? Right? Completely different idea, huh? But it works. Literally, the sky's the limit with a lot of this stuff. How creative can we be? How do we want to do it? If you want, like I said, give me a call or find me at the youth booth over the next couple of days at the trade show. I'm more than happy to talk to you one-on-one. We'll map something out if you want, and we'll really get specific on it. Okay? Anybody else?
Go back to that serious issue of losing coaches.
Yeah. That's always a tricky one, Some centers have done incentives, whether it's free practice, whether it's coffee, whether it's, there's a lot of different ways to go along that. Me, preferably, I always like to go parents. Just because if their kid's bowling, they're going to be there to an extent, right? Now when the kid moves on, but we've got an endless supply of parents. So that's my personal viewpoint, even though I know that's a lot harder of a route to go. Yes. And so when remember how I said I like to call them a team manager instead of one coach per team? That way when I'm calling all these parents as they go through, I'm saying, hey, listen, we just need a team manager. I didn't bowl. Am I comfortable coaching these kids? Absolutely not. It's okay. We're not looking for a coach. We're looking for a team manager. You just got to be on there with the kids, right? You just got to be there. And sometimes to get that interest started, it's a matter of getting them on the lanes. So for a good example of that, we were at the Go Bowling 400 in Pocono a couple years ago. We took the Bowler's Ed lanes out there and we used it as a big marketing tool to get people there. Well, once the Kids Fest of that morning ended, and they all went into the track first, we had thousands of all these adults walking right by us. And nobody was bowling. I walked right out into the middle of the road and I started telling people, hey, come on, bowl a frame. 2 shots. Just come on here, bowl. And people were looking at me like I was crazy. I brought them in, dragged a couple of them in there. They bowled. After they threw that first shot, guess what happened? That smile started getting on their face, right? I said, oh man, I forgot how much fun this is. Yeah. You have a local center in town? Yeah, I think we do. Check them out. Most of them have leagues. Most of them have these social things. You guys can get back involved. getting them on the lanes. Getting them doing this stuff a lot of times is really the best way to get them interested and excited about it again. That would be my suggestion. Okay? Good.
Hey, how about a big hand for Joey Jewell? I just want to cover a few things, and we'll certainly take a few more questions, but just as a curiosity, how many of you have more kids in your youth programs than you can handle? Right? Okay, stand up if you have more kids than you can handle. Right? It's a tough one. It's one of those things, but everything Joey's talking about today, there are options for you. Right? If you take 1 or 2 or 3 or 6 or 8, you choose what it is and how you operate within your centers. This youth department's really here to support your needs. You guys will take those youth development lead guides home with you. You'll search through them, but it's really tough to communicate in a presentation like this what you need to be doing. That makes sense to everybody? Then shake your hand. It makes sense to everybody? You want to come in, and I joke around about it all the time. Most proprietors would like us to drop a box off in your center, and what comes out of the box? Would it be okay if it was 100 kids? Right? It would be. But it's really tough to deliver that. And so the follow-up to this presentation is really the most important piece of it. The call to action isn't, God, what is it that I should be doing? It's a stop off at the booth. It's a conversation with one of our folks there at the booth. It's a phone call to the campus. It's, hey, I got this idea that you might want to include in that's working for me, or that isn't. It's really all of those things. But I would tell you, how many of you have one coach for every 4 kids in your program? Yeah, you laugh. You laugh. How many of you have one coach for every 10 kids? Great, thank you. How many of you have one coach for every 15? One for every 20? And so on and so forth. What would the world be like in youth bowling if we had one coach for every 4 kids? Would it be better? Would it be the same? Probably not, right? How many of you think it would be better? Right? So if you don't really think about the program all that much, and you just think about that, and you go home and you say, man, I just got to get more volunteers involved in my programming. I've got to get more coaches. Don't even call them coaches. Call them team moms or team managers, or any way to get one coach, team manager, team mom for every 3 or 4, maybe 5 kids. If you have 1 in 20 today, make it your goal that next year it's going to be 1 in 10. If you have 1 in 30 today, make it 1 in 20. I think the question I get all the time is, well, God, how do I get these coaches? Where do they come from? Sorry, Joey, you're standing here, so you got hitched, right? You walk up to somebody and say, hey, are you interested in volunteering in my program? And you say, for the most part,
no.
Right. I don't know how to coach. Well, I'm willing to give you that. I'm willing to teach you how to do that. And then you say, I don't have the time.
Yeah, I don't have the time.
Right. And then you take his arm and you put it behind his back and you say, hey, come on, I really need you to do this.
Okay,
can you please
right.
help me out with that? There's lots of ways, but it's not taking no for an answer in some cases. And the other thing, when I get to this part all the time, and I want to tell you, we make this sound pretty easy, don't we? Right? Everything Joey just put up on the board, it's backed by research and demand and all the things that they talk about youth sports. We make it seem very easy. Is it as easy as we make it sound? No. So a commitment to it is really the first step. A conversation with somebody like Joey or any of your volunteers or your moms. But make that a commitment this year to getting more moms involved in your program. How many of you have kids or grandkids that played another sport? Soccer, basketball, baseball, something else? None of you? I'm sorry. How many? But raise your hands. How many of you have? What's the coach-to-kid ratio in those other sports? There's usually a coach per team, depending on the size of the team, but then there's usually another volunteer that might be an assistant coach. Might be something else. But it's probably 1 or 4 or 5, maybe 6 if you really think about it. And I would tell you that's the biggest piece of where we're behind. Yeah, we've got to market our programs, and we need to use quality marketing materials to go with it. We need to provide how-to guides and best practices for you guys. But having volunteers on the lanes that deliver that is the biggest piece of the puzzle, because what are we inevitably trying to do with these kids? We turn them into lifetime bowlers. And how do you do that? Skill instruction mixed with fun. Right? Isn't the most important thing that they have... Oh, come on, you guys can do better than that. Isn't the most important thing that they have... Are they going to have more fun if they knock down more pins? Are they going to have more fun if it's structured and they've got to follow rules and things that go with that? Are you going to be building character into your programs and all the things that go with that? Be thinking about all of those things. When we go to build a youth program, a lot of times we take what we were doing before and we put it on a flyer and it's somewhere down Saturdays at 9 a.m. But what does the program actually look like, and what are we delivering within it? What are the 5 biggest pieces of that program? And do you know what they are? And if you don't, go find out what they are. What do kids want today? Families, moms. Are moms busier today than they were at one point in time? They certainly are, so we've got to make it simple. But we're building a quality experience. Any program that you offer, sit down, just like this gentleman's doing right here. Put a piece of paper in front of you. Take a pen. How am I going to improve the experience of my youth bowler this season? And make a note. And then put a number 2 and make a note. And put a number 3 and make a note. And hopefully by the time you get to 6 or 7, but don't think of it, what can I afford? Don't think of it, what do I have resources for? Don't think of it, what can I do? Put it all on paper. And then after you see it there, drag it back. 1 or 2 or 3 things. Pick one. All right, just pick one. One big idea. And then go do that. And then run a youth program. And then pick one and do it again. And then pick one and do it again. And 18 months from now, will you be in a better space? Does that make sense to everybody? It's okay if you want to raise your hand and tell them I'm crazy. I get that all the time. Because it's not as easy as it sounds. But for the most part, we're running youth programs year over year the same. I'm a product of a wonderful youth program. I mean, I came through the program. It's why I believe in it as much as I do. But is the consumer, am I the same? Is the kid today the same as when I came through? No. Might be a shorter cycle. Heck, might be a longer cycle in some cases. But it might be every other month instead of every month. There's just so many ways. But the one thing that I want you to take out of this is there's no bad ideas. The program that you're going to develop is just as good as the one we are. There's lots of options for you here. The idea is that you have to engage and you have to commit. You just have to decide, I'm going to. A lot of folks come to these seminars and they're looking for a magic bullet. That magic bullet is inside of each of you. It's the passion that you would put into the program. Pick one and run it. Build one of your own and run it. But figure out how to improve the experience for the kids, and even probably more importantly, the moms, the grandmothers. Are you engaging the people that are on the back of the concourse while the kids are bowling? There's just so many ways to do it. But just pick one and improve this year. Can everybody do that? I'd like a show of hands of people that think that they could improve one this year. Right? So the call to action from today isn't, God, I got to go figure out one of these programs. It's, what is that one thing that you're going to do to improve? And please take that with you. Any questions? Any comments? Any good stories? Anybody got a, hey, I'm doing this and it's working?
Hi, I'm Tina Short. I am with Lunar Bowl in Blue Springs, Missouri. And with the help of Sean Clancy, we were able to get the in-school bowling started with our school district in Blue Springs. We got a grant approved, and we have the program in a middle school, Brittany Hill Middle School. And the PE instructor there is phenomenal. She's on board with the whole program, and I think it's going to be something we continue and move it to different middle schools in that district. But I can tell you, when you have someone like her who is willing to help you get the word out, it helps. She's on board with the whole thing. So I feel that we've also gotten a lot of fundraisers out of it, because she has sent material home with the students about, hey, you need to go bowling and get into bowling. But then I've had all the schools contact me about other things they can do to get the kids excited. And anyway, I just want to share that. I think it's a great program. If you haven't looked into it, you definitely should do it.
Awesome. So 2 things to think about there, right? Bowlers Ed works. Working with Sean to do it at the campus. That's number 2. Number 3, do you guys know that there's grant programs for Bowlers Ed that are out in the marketplace? We actually support them. They're inside the Youth Resource Center. You can call any of the youth folks and they'll give you information to do that. The amazing part is we give those grants away on a yearly basis, 6 in the fall, 6 in January. Do you know how many applicants we get for those grants? We give away 12. Guess how many applicants we get? We get about 14.
As I said, January alone, we had 7 for the 6 that we were offering.
Everybody in here should submit a grant application this year for their school. Anybody know what the cost of Bowlers Ed is? 0. Zippo. We provide it free to the marketplace. You send us a note, we send you a curriculum. We'll send it directly to the school with a note on how to activate. It's really that simple. If you're not using Bowlers Ed, give us a call. Thank you for that. Somebody else over here had a story?
Actually, we're using Strike 10 a little. They offered the Despicable Me Minions. Well, we kind of flipped it on its head. I called a local movie theater because the movie's about to premiere, and I'm like, I want to build a league around this movie, a youth adult league. And they're like, well, we're interested. What night are you thinking? I'm like, well, it premieres Friday. We want to run it on Wednesday. Is that enough time after? She goes, oh, that's perfect. So they're discounting all our tickets for every league member. We're taking a buy on that night. We're all going to watch the movie. We used the Strike 10 thing. We bought a bowling ball that we're raffling off to one kid. We're using the pins as the trophy for the family. And it's a trios league. We had 6 original teams show up. Since we're now 3 weeks into it, we're now up to 18 teams because people came in on Wednesday night and we're like, what are you guys doing? You know, we have bowlers who are bowling down the ramp. We have bumpers up. The parents are still loving it. It's really good for bowlers like me. We're good who have to avoid a bumper because we've never had to do that before. So if we're trying to throw it out to one, it hits the bumper. We're like, oh my God. But it's just been an amazing thing. And I'm already working with I think they're called On the Ball. That's the one who does the bowling balls. And so I'm like, what deals do you have coming out for movies in December so I can continue this and then moving forward with every animated film?
About a big round of applause for these 2 folks. So that second one, you currently covered fun, right? They're going to get to bowl and they're going to a movie. And he took initiative to do that outside of what we were offering. He said, okay, well, they're offering this, and then I'm going to grow it into this, which is really cool. Thanks for doing that, Scott. But again, it isn't a one-size-fits-all world, is it? It kind of used to be, but it's not today. Things that need to have variability. We're bowling and going to the movies. What are the top 5 things that people choose to do on a Saturday night? Top of mind awareness, right? They go to dinner, they go to the movies, hopefully they go bowling. But when you think all those things, combining those 2 into one is a wonderful gift and tool. So great job. Anybody else got a story? Is it a good one? Because those 2 are pretty good. I don't want to leave you hanging here.
Well, I'm real small time. I'm Marty Madsen from Lincoln, Nebraska. 12 lanes. Anybody else got 12 lanes? Try this, daycares. Nobody's more tickled at bowling than little kids. They've made their first spare. They can't wait to come back. They've got a van to bring them to you. Give it to them free. I guarantee you they're coming back. I love kids, and I'm tickled to death that we have a great daycare program. They've got their own bus. They come in, they come back. They come down three days a week. My father's in the Hall of Fame of Nebraska. My brother John, they're in there. 3 coaches for 20 kids. You know, it's just fun, and we're having fun doing it. That's also a plus. You know, lots of times you get. I will say our bowling center is for lousy bowlers. If you know who John Lucido is with, you know, Sun Valley Lanes, it's probably the most premier center in the country. But we have unsanctioned leagues. I know you don't like to hear that, but our house is full.
Talk about unsanctioned league.
But anyway, here's the 2 things my customers ask me. First of all, you know, we have a lot of college kids right off the Nebraska campus. Number 1, what did you say the price of your pitcher of beer cost? And the second one is, can you please turn up the music? So that's the kind of people we have. I thought I'd share that with you. Try that.
Yeah, awesome. How about a big hand for unsanctioned leagues, I guess.
Good.
Yeah, so what's the takeaway from there? One, and I love you for pointing out the small center. 57% of BPA members are in centers 16 lanes or less, so we need to appeal, you know, to everyone. But that one works in all sizes and shapes. 8 lanes, 12 lanes, 16 lanes, 32 lanes. Daycares are in and around you. If they are willing to bring the kids to you, I mean, what's the first thing you have to do to drive more revenue? You got to ask somebody to give me more revenue, right? So you got to call the daycare, and you got to say, hey, I'm available at this time, and so on and so forth and so forth. I mean, it really does work that way, but how many of you have a nursery in your bowling center? Awesome. Tough these days, right, because of the insurance. When bowling was in its heyday, how many nurseries in bowling centers? All of them. We got to figure out a way to do it a little bit differently, but just another thing that you can think about. I've had 3 movie theaters go in next to me recently. Guess what all 3 of them have? They have daycare. It's starting to make its way back through. If you guys are interested, for those of you who have been in one of my seminars before, there's a book out there. It's called Bowling Alone. I would challenge all of you to go read it. It will explain why some of these things are happening. It will explain very little of it about bowling, but you'll learn a lot about your consumers, and that's a big piece of it. Why bowling and some of the other things have declined a little bit. Mom, divorce rates, what she's doing, where we're living, how they get to me. All of those things are part of it. Anybody else got another story? That was great. All 3 of you, wonderful. Bowling Alone. It's really kind of a sad title if you think about it. Who wants to bowl alone, right? Anybody else got a story?
How you doing? I'm Larry from Bow Long Island in Petrol, New York. One of the things that we did was we have an independent baseball team just a step below the minor leagues that we teamed up with this summer. That the kids, it's an adult-child league. The parents come in. Kids come in, they're bowling to get tickets to the games. They get 2 tickets to each of the games throughout the season. At the end of the bowling season here in August, the team, the Long Island Ducks, is going to come out to our bowling center and going to bowl with the kids. They have a mascot out there that's pretty popular that people try to rent him out for their birthday parties and things like that. So he's coming out to the bowling center as well, too. So it was just a really good way to get our sport out into, another venue.
I was going to say, do you have a Bowlopolis Kingpin costume you could pair with that?
Yeah, so think about that one. What's that baseball team trying to do? Why are they working together? What's their common goal? They want to sell more tickets, right? So it's a partner program in your marketplace. But does it have to be a AA baseball team or a AAA baseball team? Wonderful, love it. Don't let me take anything away from that. But be a restaurant down the street. What are bowling centers typically and have been for a number of years? And it doesn't really matter whether new FECs or what are they? They're community gathering places. Yeah, so there's all kinds of businesses that would love to talk to your bowlers. And obviously this isn't just, I guess we'll talk about adults if we have to, right? But it's the youth seminar. So think of all the places that activate youth in your area, and let's go have a conversation with them, see if there's a partner program. They're not going to ask you for money because you're going to give them your customers. It's a good thing. We're not competing with those businesses. We're working together to be better partners and build a better bowling, right? That makes sense to everybody? We probably got time for one more story. Anybody got one? Okay, good. I'll tell one. I like telling stories. Anybody care if I tell one? So a few years ago, a couple groups got together, and they decided to get into the youth bowling business together. One was BPA and one was USBC. And what you see today is kind of a product of that. A lot of programs, a lot of conversation, a lot of things, a lot of products. On one side, we're trying to build a better future for the sport, and on the other side, we're trying to enhance the profitability of our members. In a lot of cases, that goes hand in hand. This group in the youth area is there absolutely to help you build a better bowling. We know that means driving revenue, and it's okay. The big bad wolf, right? But in the end, if more people go bowling, tournaments, all the things that go with that, we can help you in a lot of ways, this group. I almost shudder to call it we anymore because there's a new group doing it. I've kind of got involved in a few other things. But they're there to help. If you have any questions that weren't answered today, stop by the booth at the trade show. Ask a question. If you're just even thinking about something, right, it doesn't really matter what it is. Bounce it off one of these cats. They'll help make it better for you. That's why we hired them to do that. How about another big hand for Joey Jewell? Thanks, man. Just two more things. There's going to be a group of proprietors in here in a few minutes. They're going to be sitting up here. They're going to take your questions, hopefully. I'm moderating, but hopefully I won't speak a whole lot. We're going to take your questions and answer them how to build better programming. They're 4 of the top 10 certified youth in the country, so they know what they're doing. And it's a variable offering. What is this group going to do this fall? You do one thing, right? Raise your hand if you're going to do one thing. Fill out those surveys. Make sure you put an email address on it because I'm going to be calling you to make sure you do that one thing. Have a great Bowl Expo. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys.